The Raleigh Flyers and the Atlanta Hustle. Two teams, both with big-time ambitions. Tonight, we lift the lid on a new season in the American Ultimate Disc League. A gorgeous night for Ultimate North Carolina. The action starts now. When the founders of Ultimate first thought about Southern Division in the AUDL, they dreamed of a night like this. It is picture perfect for the season opener. Atlanta and Raleigh, two franchises with high hopes as the 2015 season begins. Hi everybody, Evan Lepler alongside Megan Tormey. So great to be back with you on ESPN3. And tonight, we see two new teams. Now, a year ago, we were out in the Bay Area for San Jose and San Francisco. They turned out to be two new teams that were among the best in the league. And Megan, you think that these two could be in the top discussion as well?
I absolutely agree. When you consider how strong ultimate communities these teams come from, they have so much talent to choose from. We're seeing the best that Raleigh and the best that Atlanta has to offer on the field tonight. Game
changers on both teams, and we'll start with Atlanta. Dylan Tennell, he's been a phenom since he was a teenager, and now he elevates his game to the pro level.
When you consider the caliber of play he's been immersed in for as long as he has, it's no wonder he's one of the leading players on the Atlanta Hustle. We can expect him to help develop the team and elevate what is already a very competitive team.
He's going to be a fun guy to watch. He's 31. He says he feels a little older, even though he feels good getting the season underway. For Raleigh, we focus on one of the young studs. That's the 23-year-old juggernaut, Justin Allen, who's just starting to come into his own.
Absolutely. He is such a dominant, aggressive player. He makes his presence known the moment he steps on the field. I have no doubt we can expect big plays from him right as soon as this game begins. And the nice thing about that is Raleigh really feeds off of that energy.
He was a dynamo for New York last year. Raleigh expects big things from Allen in 2015. We've got a great night. Tremendous energy here at Wake Med Soccer Park. The opening pull between the Hustle and the Flyers is coming up. If you want to follow the AUDL on your phone, now you can. Download the brand new AUDL app on your mobile device and get up-to-the-minute news on your favorite Pro Ultimate team. This is your new home for live scoring, up-to-date standings, game recaps, highlight videos, and more. It's the new best way to follow Ultimate at the highest level. Don't miss any of the thrilling hucks, towering skies, or monstrous layout Ds. Check out the free AUDL app today.
Yeah, it's a zip car. I don't own it, I just use it when I need it. Zipcar has thousands of cars parked all over the city, even two on my block. You can use one for an hour or for a day. And Zipcar pays for gas and insurance. It's easy.
Go to zipcar.com to get your zip card, the key to vehicles parked in your neighborhood and across the globe. For work or play, find a zip car near you, book it,
and before you know it, you're on the road.
Cars by the hour or day. Gas and insurance included. Join for as little as $6 per month at zipcar.com.
We are live at Wake Med Soccer Park here in Cary, North Carolina, just outside the state capital. The Raleigh Flyers getting ready to pull to the Atlanta Hustle as we begin a new season in the AUDL. Atlanta will receive the opening pull. Raleigh, first things first, got to get this pull inbounds. We were in Montreal for the opener last year. Incredible atmosphere, thrilling experience, opening pull to the brick mark. We can hope for better tonight.
Absolutely. When you watch new teams coalesce, you can learn from their mistakes. Keeping your nerves in check at the beginning of a home opener, very important.
Taylor Pope, the veteran, gets the job done. And this is Tennell with his patented backhand. The Atlanta offense getting things underway, consisting of Jason Clark, Kyle Stapleton looking deep right off the bat for Matthew Smith. And immediately the Hustle strikes in 16 seconds. Didn't even have time to run through the starting lineup. That's the Atlanta deep game we've grown to love through the years.
And Raleigh knew this coming into the game. They knew that the Atlanta Hustle were going to want to throw those long games. Their defensive strategy will be throughout this game to try and force Atlanta to the sideline. But in that first point, mission not quite accomplished.
Well, they got the disc center to the middle of the field. Not a very aggressive mark. And just a beautiful flick.
And that was Smith running it down, maintaining perfect position and reading the disc well.
And a bold, reckless layout from Brian Clark from Raleigh. So the Atlanta D-line on the field. Robert Runner, former Atlantic Coast Player of the Year when he was at University of Virginia in 2009 with the pull. And this is Allen. And his first throw with Raleigh is a turnover. Intercepted by Runner. Simmons to the middle of the field for Byron Liu. Runner and Liu are going to be the key cogs in the handler core on this Atlanta D-line. There's so much excitement. You're hosting the opening game, national television on ESPN3, and Raleigh certainly has made a couple mistakes early, giving up the deep shot, which is what Atlanta was looking for, and then surrendering the break. 2-0, the Hustle have struck first.
If I had to guess going into this game, I would have guessed that Raleigh would have gone up with a 2-run over Atlanta. They just seemed so much more confident stepping onto the field. Talking with Greg Swanson before the game, of course, everyone on the Hustle feeling just a little bit of nerves, but also not exactly sure what to expect. But they seem to be pulling it together quite well for this game.
It's a nice little low release inside flick to the end zone. And the score from Jack Krieger. Played for University of Illinois and Georgia Tech in college. So a very quick start. You can see a great crowd has turned out, filling the stands to capacity. Lawn seating as well on just an absolute pristine night in North Carolina. Raleigh, a second chance for the O-line. They go for the hammer over the top. Wow. Runner will pick up the disc off Raleigh's second turnover. Runner shoots to the end zone. What a shot! But a call was made before the throw, perhaps a stall. That was a beautiful lefty flick around, but it's coming back, and Raleigh will take over. Dennis Teresi, one of the captains, with the disc. Robert Good underneath. The reset for Dave Snoke, and then downfield. Drew Chandler back. The handler to the end zone. Raleigh's on the board. The first score from the Hustle belongs to Michael Neve.
And there we started to see Raleigh pulling it together offensively. They looked a little more collected, and they were able to run a set that surely they had set up ahead of time.
First score for the Flyers. Neve, the recipient. And it's the veteran Dave Snoke. Continuing the around. Chandler will pick up the assist. Actually, Snoke will get credit for the dime. Dave Snoke played varsity soccer not far from here at NC State in the early 2000s. Just a tremendous athlete.
He's been a very dominant player in Raleigh for a number of years. Having him on the team offers a lot of sage wisdom.
There's not really any wind to speak of right now, so you'd expect both of these offenses to be able to light it up. Atlanta scored 2 in the first minute. This is Matt Knowles with the disc. His wife Miranda is one of the assistant coaches for the Hustle. Miranda Roth Knowles, one of the most accomplished women's players in the history of the sport. Blake Hanna with the disc. A late addition to the Hustle Guy that the head coach Greg Swanson talked about, and Tunnel thought he was foul, but the referee doesn't call it. Welcome to Pro Ultimate, Dylan. Different game, and a stall called on Raleigh. 7-second stall count, silently announced.
Right, and a new rule for this year is that the referee will not bring out the arm motion dictating the seconds until count 5, 6, and 7. So at least there's a little bit of a visual marker, but 7 seconds, not very long, and then to not have any verbal indication is something that needs to be adjusted to very early in the season.
Tunnell picks up the disc. Stapleton back for Tunnell, being chased by Roy Matthews. Hannah to the end zone, right on the money. Matt Smith with his second score, and Atlanta leads 3-1.
Interesting note on Smith, he used to play for an AUDL team that doesn't exist anymore, the Rhode Island Rampage. So I'm sure it's very exciting for him to get back on the big stage and play in the professional scene.
And having a guy who's played in the AUDL before, has experienced the referees and the time nature of the game and everything that goes into it, it's a very different game than the typical USAU club game.
It's invaluable to have that kind of information at your disposal, just because there are things you might not be ready for when you're entering the AUDL for the first season. Like you've said, time between points, not having a stall count, those are all minor things that can make a major difference in a game, and having someone who can help guide you through those nuances will really help elevate your program sooner.
3.5 minutes gone in this first quarter. We'll play 4 12-minute quarters in the AUDL. The clock stops on a score. This is Ben Dieter, former East Carolina great. Dumps it back off, and now the youngest guy on the field, Terrence Mitchell. You'll see him running around. Can jump, perhaps better than anybody else in the league. Deep shot, Brian Casey lets it fly to the end zone. Justin Allen sizes it up and hauls it in. Great vision from Casey. And it's 3-2.
Yeah, you're right. That was a cross-field throw into the corner of the end zone. For him to see Allen coming in at that position and being able to shape his throw appropriately, excellently executed.
So far, Megan, we've seen 5 goals in less than 4 minutes. It's on pace to be a high-scoring night.
Which I think is what everyone expected walking into this game. Both teams, as we've talked about, come from areas where Ultimate is a staple of life. So we have people who have quite the pedigree when you look at their Ultimate resume. So it's not unreasonable for them to score quite a few points in this game and for it to be a battle back and forth throughout.
Yeah, up and down the roster, great pedigrees. Michael Zoe with a pull from Raleigh, and great coaching staffs, too. We talked about Greg Swanson, Miranda Roth-Knowles. This Raleigh team led by Mike Denardis, 37 years old, played Ultimate for the first time at University of Iowa in the mid-late 90s. Went to Iowa thinking he'd walk onto the wrestling team. That quickly didn't work out, and he found Ultimate, and he's become one of the more fascinating minds in the sport, coaching University of North Carolina to the finals of college championships last year. UNC men went undefeated at sectionals today. And Brian Casey, the member of the Raleigh Flyers who threw that last score with a great vision, he was at Carolina sectionals coaching UNC Wilmington. And it's very likely, I would say, that UNCW and UNC will meet in the Carolina Conference Finals tomorrow, about 20 minutes from here. That's a nice, efficient offensive point from Atlanta.
Now that we're starting to see both teams settle in offensively, it'll be interesting to see what they do defensively to try to rile the other team up. We know that Raleigh has the aggressive style of play that's going to give them that defensive edge. But as you mentioned earlier, the caliber of coaching staff is going to give Atlanta the ultimate minds necessary to develop a kind of defense that can counter a team like Raleigh.
Hannah to go forth on that hustle score. Taylor Goforth, known as Tree, 6'7". A big target. And the pull from Runner. Will be fielded by Dennis Teresi. Quickly to Casey. Casey underneath for Jarrett Bowen, his former UNCW teammate. And Bowen hand blocked by Runner. That's Robert Runner's second D in the first quarter. Justin Allen almost got it back, marking up Byron Liu. Deep shot. Too much. You like that choice, or was that a little forced?
That was definitely forced. And it came in at such a flat angle. You notice Archibald had to look over his right and left shoulder to kind of see where the disc was even headed, which slows him down. As fast as that disc was going, he had no shot at it.
Justin Allen lets one rip. Looking for Dieter. And he's got it! Ben Dieter in between Atlanta defenders. Makes a sensational play on the disc. Dieter to the end zone. And the Raleigh Flyers getting on the board. Getting the fans into it here in North Carolina.
A bit of a risky put from Allen, pulled down by Dieter in an amazing fashion, saves that point. You know, interestingly, I was talking with Teresi before the game, and he said, we need to make sure Atlanta does not lull us into their style of play, into throwing puts that are ill-advised.
Have they been lulled?
On that particular throw, I would have to say so.
What a grab by Dieter. 33 years old. And Casey with a nice grab, getting the feet in bounds as well. Casey, sort of the embodiment of that Wilmington aggressiveness. Zoe with a roller pull. Across the midway point of the first quarter. 4-3, Atlanta up a break. Tennell double teamed on the sideline. And a Blady flick dropped by his longtime teammate Wooten, quickly picked up by Tristan Green, and we're tied. That is a quick counterattack. Roy Matthews hauls in the score.
Classic Raleigh. You make a mistake, they are going to capitalize on it.
So that was really Atlanta's first experience against the double team. And Tunnell, you know, had that throw, and Wooten should have had it, just slipped right through his fingertips. Not much you can do as Raleigh looks to counter quickly.
Yeah, both teams have actually put on a double team, which I think is really fascinating, given that it's their very first game in the AUDL. We've talked about the caliber of the coaching staff. Clearly, they're not afraid to come out and try something new right away.
Another roller pull, knocked down. AUDL field 80 yards from the front of the end zone to the other 20-yard end zone. So basically the length of the football field, 120 yards from the back of one end zone to the other. 53 1/3 yards wide. 50-50 disc. Smith aims for the sky, but comes up empty. Well, that would have been picturesque if Matt Smith could have hauled it in, but the footsteps nearby were lingering.
Forced him to jump just a touch early.
Tristan Green over to Mike Zoe, the Northwestern alum. And this is Joey Cretella, one of the captains. Shoots it deep, looking for Richardson. And that'll be a turnover spun by Cretella. You know, David Richardson, who was the target of that deep shot, it's a great story. At the first Raleigh Flyers combine, he went up for a disc, a 50-50 disc, and just a huck drill, landed on his arm and broke a couple bones in his arm. And a traveling violation called on Tennell. Raleigh with a chance to take its first lead. Richardson Had to go to the hospital, left the combine, but he one of the fastest guys on the team, if not the fastest. They're looking for Richardson, and he can't haul it in. Aggressive layout in the end zone there for Atlanta to come up with a D. Richardson able to heel as Tunnell lets it fly. This is a punt. Clark versus Cretella. D'd up. Pretty impressive throw, though, by Tunnell, just effortlessly launching it 80 yards.
Absolutely, getting it to the far side of the field. Now they're going to have to put some intense D to make the most of that put.
Steven Bender for Matthews. Back to Green. Former dark side handler hits Cretella underneath. Flick forward over the head of Bender, and Tunnell intercepts. Hannah for Jay Clark. And a timeout called by the Hustle. 2 timeouts per half. The Hustle stop it with 3:03 to go in the first. An exciting first 12 minutes. We're tied 4-4 here in North Carolina.
Find gas station.
Playing jazz station.
Hi, gas?
Cat migration.
No, I don't want a full tank Frank. How do I get gas?
When you travel, new doesn't always mean improved, except for Motel 6's new improved website. In just a few clicks, book a room for the lowest price of any national chain based on price or location. It's new and actually improved. I'm Tom Bodette, and we'll leave the light on for you.
Back here at Wake Med Soccer Park, facility that has hosted numerous college cups. That's the Final Four of Division I college soccer. I've personally seen some ACC men's and women's soccer tournaments here in past years, just outside of Raleigh in Cary, North Carolina, where we watch the Hustle and the Flyers make their first impressions in the American Ultimate Disc League. Megan, what have your first impressions been of these two Southern Division teams?
That they're both dominant offensively and defensively, but that the mutual respect they have for one another is really flusters them very easily.
Tunnels, crossfield flick, hanging in the air and hauled in. What a grab by Blake Hannah. And in the end zone, Kyle Stapleton. Welcome to the American Ultimate Disc League. What a grab.
A swarm of Raleigh players behind him, and he was still able to come up with that.
Would you believe Kyle Stapleton played 6 sports in high school? None of them were ultimate. He played tennis, he wrestled, cross country, track, soccer, and basketball. He was a college tennis player at the D3 level. Just imagine if you'd been playing ultimate that whole time. 2 great catches, first on the crossfield shot contested by Allen, and then Hannah, just vision. Big time Sky.
Stapleton also plays golf, climbs, and does cycling. So I don't know who's counting, but I think that's more than 6.
Yeah, he lives in a 44-hour day instead of a 24-hour day. Oh, what a grab there to keep the possession alive. Teresi able to lay out for the one-handed catch. This is Dieter underneath. You know, the field is just so much wider than the typical club field. Both teams trying to utilize that to their advantage. This is Teresi. And the throwaway. Miscommunication there, Stephen Poulos did not make eye contact with his target. So Atlanta, with about 2 minutes to go here in the first quarter, double teamed on the sideline and just shooting it away. And contact was called on the mark. Whistle wasn't blown until after the disc landed, because if the Hustle had come up with the disc, they would play the advantage. But Robert Runner was fouled. Lou throws through the contact, complete to Ryan James. Runners taking off. The throw to the opposite side of the field, and it was a beauty. It's Jack Krieger in the end zone, and Atlanta scores the break.
Timing that catch perfectly, just waiting just long enough so that he's able to jump the line and land on the other side of the end zone.
So a missed opportunity from the Flyers. They had it on the goal line, could not capitalize. Teresi threw it away, or Poulos threw it away. And then Atlanta able to get it off the sideline, which was really key for that point.
You're right. As we saw, that double team is so tight, it limits your field of opportunity dramatically. So to be able to swing it off the sideline, suddenly you have so much more field space available to you, and you know that two defenders are basically behind you.
$1:19 to go in the first quarter. Teresi. Man-to-man defense from the hustle. This is Mitchell underneath, the 19-year-old who is a YCC champion, the youth level. Using the full width of the field. Casey, crafty throw to Teresi. And now Allen to Mitchell. Casey found himself open. You know, he wants to shoot it deep. Mitchell just shy of the goal line and narrowly through the gap past the laying out hustle defender. It's 6-5 with 38 seconds left in the quarter.
Earlier I mentioned that Teresi said the goal of this game was to play their game. Well, talking with Miranda Knowles, assistant coach for the Atlanta Hustle, she said the exact same thing. The goal for the Hustle, to play their game, to stay within the sets they know they have. So both teams are trying very hard to avoid getting flustered by the other team. I think Atlanta has the slight edge, partially because they like to play a huck-heavy game. Even when nerves are high, hucks are great to throw.
If one of these teams is not playing their game, what will we see? How will we know?
We'll see a lot of offensive errors. Without a doubt, teams will just, the team not playing their game will throw the disc away or start to throw sets that they haven't practiced, that they haven't rehearsed, that not everyone is on board with.
That was a titanic pull into the end zone, about an 82-yard chuck inbounds on the sideline. Barely. Tunnel lets it fly. Dylan Tunnell looking for Hannah. Incomplete. Richardson and Clark defending for Raleigh. Setting a pivot foot in the end zone rather than taking it to the front line, and now Clark wide open. Without a mark, he shoots it. 2 versus 3. Tunnell sizing it up, and it's tipped away by Atlanta. That'll be the end of the quarter. Some great excitement in the opening 12 minutes in the Southern Division of the AUDL. Atlanta 6, Raleigh 5, 1 down, 3 to go. Time was running down, so it's 6-5, the Hustle from Atlanta leading by 1. Take a quick break, second quarter action coming up here from Cary.
If you want to follow the AUDL on your phone, now you can. Download the brand new AUDL app on your mobile device and get up-to-the-minute news on your favorite Pro Ultimate team. This is your new home for live scoring, up-to-date standings, game recaps, highlight videos, and more. It's the new best way to follow Ultimate at the highest level. Don't miss any of the thrilling hucks, towering skies, or monstrous layout Ds. Check out the free AUDL app today.
Yeah, it's a zip car. I don't own it, I just use it when I need it. Zipcar has thousands of cars parked all over the city, even 2 on my block. You can use one for an hour or for a day. And Zipcar pays for gas and insurance. It's easy.
Go to zipcar.com to get your zip card, the key to vehicles parked in your neighborhood and across the globe. For work or play, find a zip car near you, book it,
And before you know it, you're on the road.
cars by the hour or day, gas and insurance included.
Join for as little as $6 per month at zipcar.com.
Yeah, it is a good game.
Atlanta getting ready to pull as we start the second quarter. You might have been able to hear the commissioner of the AUDL, Steve Gordon, has stepped in the booth, and you came here for the opener just like you did for the first game in the Western Division last year. I imagine you're pretty pleased with what you see from the entirety of this atmosphere.
Yeah, absolutely, Evan. Great crowd on hand right now. Obviously a great game to have for our first of the season. 2 talented teams. We're seeing a few more turnovers than I would have expected early, but that may be Jitter's first game too.
Raleigh turned it over, first couple of points, gave Atlanta an early break, but the hustle will pull here, so Raleigh with a chance to get back on serve. Raleigh's offensive line out there. You know, we talked on the opening ESPN broadcast a year ago when San Francisco and San Jose played a really exciting game out in the Bay Area. What has changed in the AUDL from 2014 to 2015 at the season opener? Traveling violation called here, and Raleigh turns it over. But where have we come from? Where are we now?
Yeah, I mean, obviously one of the big changes is we've got 2 teams here that didn't exist last year. You know, so we have a whole new region in the South that.
That was a alley-oop pass for you to throw down.
And I took it, thank you. Yeah, and we're seeing obviously a lot of great players that are being introduced to the league. We're seeing a lot of them on the field here tonight, and not only in the South. Obviously, we got 2 new teams down in California as well, and a couple up in the East. So
tough grab there made by Ryan James. He finds the end zone for the hustle, and that's another quick break of the Raleigh O-line to begin the quarter. In the first possession of the game, it was 16 seconds for Atlanta to score, and this time 53 seconds as Robert Runner hit the underneath cutter, and then Ryan James caught the winning score. So we got 5 brand new teams in the Southern Division. We've got a bunch of new teams out west. We got a new team in the Midwest, new team in the East. It's been a pretty busy offseason for you, I imagine.
Yeah, it has, Evan, but a lot of fun. Certainly glad to see it go the way it did, and certainly we're in the markets that we'd hope to get to. We'll be in more as the years go on, but we're real happy with where we're at right now.
7-5, Atlanta leads Raleigh. 11:05 to go here in the second quarter. We're joined by the commissioner of the AUDL, Steve Gordon. See Justin Allen cutting down the field. You know, I've talked to a lot of players about sort of the concept of being an ultimate free agent and, you know, having owners come after you. What's the mindset from the management perspective in pursuing young stars like a Jimmy Mickle or a Nick Lance, or in your case in Chicago, a Brett Matsuka? How does that play out?
Well, first of all, most of that plays out from the team ownership itself and who they might have interest in. Use the example of Brett Matsuka. Obviously, my interest in Chicago, having him come in was a major change for us. From a league perspective, we're looking obviously for the most talent that's in the league and bring them in a way that they can shine.
Robert Good with the score. UNC Wilmington cutter in past years, now elevating to the pro level to bring the Flyers back within 1. But obviously, you know, you're the managing director of Chicago in addition to your league-wide responsibilities. Was there a mindset in terms of we want to recruit certain players into this league to help it grow?
Yeah, certainly that started with Brody. It moved on to Bo, Jimmy Mickle, a lot of players in between. I hate to start naming players without going to everybody, but yeah, that is part of it. But that's part of a more macro approach, which is attracting the best talent across the board.
7-6. Now the score. There's certainly just unbelievable talent. How about that Western Division? I mean, that's going to be a bloodbath. you know, San Jose's got to be considered the favorite. They bring back a lot of players from last year. They've added some really strong pieces as well. They won the title. But I'm not sure if they're going to have an easy game on their schedule.
I agree with that. And after listening to the podcast, you know, between all the announcers a couple of weeks ago, you know, certainly a case could be made for San Diego, for Seattle, or actually for all those teams. All 6 teams are ultra talented, and like you said, it's going to be a bloodbath right across the schedule.
Cretella called for the obvious foul as he tackled Goforth incidentally, or perhaps aggressively. Cretella got up immediately, apologized to the 6'7" Taylor Goforth. This is Dylan Tennell underneath. Back to Goforth. Atlanta leading by 1 with the disc in the white jerseys. Goforth shoots the hammer. What almost catch that was. In and out of the hands. I mean, it looked like Brian Moore could have had it, but that's a really difficult catch.
Absolutely.
And how about the throw? Green lets it fly. Beautiful toss.
Got him.
Perfect. That's how quickly the momentum can swing. Atlanta had 2 hands on the disc looking to score. It popped out. 20 seconds later, Raleigh capitalizes on the mistake.
Absolutely, and the ebbs and flows of the game going both ways already. This early in the game have been fantastic.
Chatting with the commissioner of the AUDL, Steve Gordon. One final question. There's obviously a lot of interest in this league, and that's good. It's growing. Where are we going? What will define a successful season in 2015 in your eyes?
That's a lot of pieces, Evan. First of all, is having the kind of talent that we're seeing on the field tonight across the league. Hoping that everybody plays obviously at the top of their game. Looking for avoidance of injuries. You know, a lot of these players play a lot of games in a lot of different venues. So we try to do what we can to make sure that we protect them as well. And then obviously from a business model perspective, meeting the goals that we've set for ourselves and getting ourselves prepared for next year's.
Atlanta back with the score tied. The Hustle scored the opening point on its offense and then got a quick break. So the Hustle has never trailed, but that could change here. Justin Allen will pick up the disc. I mean, right there, that's Allen, who's 23, one of the rising stars, throwing to Terrence Mitchell, who's 19.
Yep.
Sort of the Darren Wu of the East Coast.
There we go. Like to have a lot of those. Beautiful setting tonight, too.
Yeah, really could not have asked for a better night. Got to say, I was in Chicago recently. It wasn't this nice.
No, it hasn't been for about 8 months, I don't think.
Timeout called by Raleigh. Steve will let you go and enjoy the rest of the night. But thanks for joining us. Thanks for being here. And look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thanks, Evan. Appreciate it.
That's the commissioner of the AUDL, Steve Gordon. We got a timeout in the field, all square here in North Carolina.
Find gas station.
Playing Jazz Station.
Hi, gas?
Cat migration.
No, I don't want a full tank Frank. How do I get gas?
When you travel, new doesn't always mean improved, except for Motel 6's new improved website. In just a few clicks, book a room for the lowest price of any national chain based on price or location. It's new and actually improved. I'm Tom Bodette, and we'll leave the light on for you.
Great crowd on hand, a tremendous opening day atmosphere. When a new season begins, optimism springs anew. And for these teams who literally have never played a game before at the pro level, it is a brand new life. Megan Tormey rejoins me back here in the booth. Raleigh looking for its first lead of the night.
And they are starting to come out with the power necessary to accomplish that. Their defense is really starting to suffocate the hustle. The last 3 turnovers from Atlanta came from forced break throws, 1 scuba and 2 hammers. And that's the kind of continuous pressure that they're going to need in order to pull away in this game.
Dave Snoke had the disc, quick swing to Teresi and into the end zone. An impressive grab, skying through the air for Raleigh, Jarrett Bowen, and the Flyers have their first lead in franchise history, which has been about 15 points long.
All the same, first for everything.
First lead of the game comes just under the 8-minute mark in the second quarter. Bowen made this grab, started playing Ultimate as a freshman at UNCW, part of a couple trips to Nationals with Wilmington, where he was a regionals 5 times, Nationals in 2010. They only lost 4 games that whole season in 2010, Wilmington did. Had another very good season this year. Taylor Pope, on the other hand, he's been playing Club Ultimate for a long time, now 35 years old. One of the staples in the Raleigh Ultimate scene. Tennell got that pass through to Smith, even though he may have been hit on the arm by Matthews. The round flick, complete just shy of the end zone for Smith. Tennell. With the stall count rising, off the hands of one receiver, into the grasp of another. Better to be lucky than good sometimes, and the Hustle have tied it up at 8.
Lucky is right. Again, Raleigh forcing some very difficult throws for Atlanta to even gain yards. And Tennell threading the needle there.
Well, it was the layout D that knocked it away from the first target, which I believe was Smith. Great awareness, never giving up on the disc. Got a great angle here. Yeah, off the fingertips of Smith, and then Hannah, very alert. Less than a minute in between points here in the AUDL. The game keeps on moving. About a 45-yard dump swing. Casey to Teresi. Flick over the top for Allen. Allen lets it fly. Hammer to the end zone, complete. Justin Allen drops the bomb.
Making it look so easy. That was beautifully executed. Looked like little effort on his part, but so much spin on that disc. It was flying perfectly.
When you're watching this replay here, tell us about the angle that he uses to release this disc. The angle and the tightness of the grip. Here we go.
And hammers can be so tricky. They can leave your hand and suddenly fly away. You didn't think that they were going to, but you noticed it started out bladey, but then pulled flat very, very quickly, making it an easy disc to catch for his target.
Again, Zoe, the roller pull. He's known as Jenga to his teammates. He's especially good at building blocks. Double team on the sideline. Blade crossed the field. Clark able to haul it in. And now the question of recovering defensively from that double team. That requires great communication and game planning.
Yeah, especially when the opposing team is able to get it off to the far sideline. That's 40 yards you need to cover very, very quickly. And like you said, communication becomes key at that point because someone has to step in and cover that open player.
Hannah marked by Richardson. To Tennell. And a great layout D. That's Brian Clark getting horizontal. Raleigh has regained momentum. Richardson for Clark, who comes to the disc. Clark to the end zone. It's Michael Zoe. Jenga tumbles for the Raleigh score.
There's no term like bookends for getting a D and then throwing the score, but there certainly should be. That's a special event, just like you saw Clark do right then.
So the Raleigh D-line has really started to change the tide of this game.
Absolutely. As I mentioned before, they're starting to take opportunities away from the hustle and making it harder for them to gain momentum offensively for using the field to their fullest advantage. And then, as we know, Raleigh loves to do, as soon as they get the break, they go in for the kill.
It's a 5-1 run right now for Raleigh, and Atlanta took a timeout. Zoe able to haul that one in with 5:36 remaining in this quarter. If you haven't done it yet, make sure you get in the App Store and download the brand new AUDL app. It is completely free. It has live scores, schedules, rosters, news, highlights, and much, much more. Megan, what's your favorite part of the AUDL app?
My favorite part is definitely the live scores. I thought that that was something that would really benefit people who were out and about, not able to sit and watch the game, or if a game wasn't being streamed live, it's an easier way to keep up with teams than following along on Twitter, in my opinion.
No question about it. Right now, Pittsburgh and Indianapolis underway. Thunderbirds got off to a good start, taking a 2-0 lead in their first ever game. Some other action later tonight on the West Coast. Los Angeles and Seattle, San Francisco and Vancouver. Some very interesting opening weekend games. 11 games in this AUDL opening weekend, and there are 4 teams in the league that play twice, one of them being Atlanta. The Hustle have to turn around from this night game here and then go to Charlotte tomorrow and grace the home of the Charlotte Express in their first ever game. So certainly a tough challenge for the Atlanta Hustle on this opening weekend. Made even tougher by the fact that Mark Poole, a guy anticipated to be one of their leaders, hurt his shoulder a couple of weeks ago and is out and unavailable for this opening weekend.
That's a tough loss for this opening weekend, and as you were mentioning, it's a tough turnaround for Atlanta. One thing I think a lot of players are not prepared for when they begin playing in the AUDL is moving from city to city to play their 2 games. The 1-game format seems on paper so desirable, but when you have to then travel through the night or early in the morning to your next destination, that can be really tough.
Jay Clark with an impressive bid but couldn't haul it in. And now Raleigh looking for the deep shot. Allen airs one out. Bender in pursuit. Raleigh on a roll. That's 3 straight for the Flyers.
Allen giving the crowd with what they want, opening out with these long throws that are just beautiful and sent exactly to where they need to be. We've talked about Allen's prowess as a young athlete, but it warrants mentioning that his throws are so much older than he is. He's 24 years old, yet throws with like someone who has years more experience.
When you look at the mechanics of that throw, what stands out to you?
Well, Allen's speed is fantastic on his puts. It really helps him control exactly where that disc is going. I also think that his timing is fantastic. You notice oftentimes his players don't have to lay out or do anything dramatic to catch the disc. It's exactly where they need to be to make an easy-ish score.
No need for a roller pull this time. Raleigh on a roll. Playing straight up D. Oh, the handlers are poaching off a little bit and letting Atlanta have these easy swings. Stephen Hicks drops it off. Byron Liu goes underneath. Krieger back for Liu. This is Robert Runner. Hasn't played high-level competitive ultimate recently because he's been in med school. The whistle blew, but the score counts anyway. And Atlanta gets a much-needed offensive point.
The Flyers hot in pursuit every throw that point. If you look back a few throws, you'll notice how tightly they're playing on Atlanta, how hard it is for them to open up the field and hit their targets. They're working with very narrow margins right now.
Laying out to let that one go, and it's Krieger in the end zone again for the hustle. So Atlanta threw the first punch, was up by 2 for a good part of the first quarter. Went up 2-0 at the very beginning, led 6-5 after 1, and got a quick break to begin the second to go up 7-5. It has been mostly Raleigh since, until that last offensive point. Got a beautiful sunset brewing here at Wake Med Soccer Park. The AUDL season opener between Raleigh and Atlanta. Two brand new franchises beginning the professional run, and you know, every single year in the league, Megan, the eventual champion has been a first-year team. Jarrett Bowen makes it 12-9.
And with the caliber of teams being added to the AUDL, I would not be surprised if we saw that again.
Philadelphia in year 1 took the title. Toronto in year 2, and San Jose in its first season last year won the title behind Bo Kittredge and Ashlyn Joy and Kurt Gibson. 2 of that big 3 is going to be back for the Spiders, but Kurt Gibson has migrated southward. Well, he moved from Denver to Dallas, works for PepsiCo, but now he's playing for the San Diego Growlers, along with America's favorite ultimate son, Jimmy Mickle, and also another former couple of Callahan Award winners. Both Nick Lance and Josh Ackley were the college national players of the year in past seasons. They're all going to be joining Kurt Gibson, a champion on that San Diego team.
Yeah, there was a little bit of redistribution of talent when you think about the San Jose Spiders, but talking about ultimate communities, they're very strong. California has a number of great players. It's not going to be difficult to field some very strong teams, even if your top star, like Kurt Gibson, jumps ship.
Crossfield hammer, Tunnell waits for it. And now Tunnell unleashes. Oh, over the outstretched arms of Goforth.
Which says a lot, given that Goforth is 6'7".
Tunnell trying to match Justin Allen's long crossfield hammer to the end zone with one of his own. Timeout called by Raleigh. Just under 3 minutes to go here in the first half of the AUDL season opener on ESPN3.
If you want to follow the AUDL on your phone, now you can. Download the brand new AUDL app on your mobile device and get up-to-the-minute news on your favorite Pro Ultimate team. This is your new home for live scoring, up-to-date standings, game recaps, highlight videos, and more. It's the new best way to follow Ultimate at the highest level. Don't miss any of the thrilling hucks, towering skies, or monstrous layout Ds. Check out the free AUDL app today.
The Raleigh Flyers out of the timeout will have the disc offensively. We encourage every AUDL fan to encourage your friends to sign up for the official Pick'em Challenge. It's really simple. AUDLpick'em.com.
You don't need to be laying out like Hussein Carnegie, although that looks pretty good, getting horizontal in the picture. Every week, you pick who's going to win the games. It's completely free. If you get more right than everybody else, you win great prizes like AUDL Fan Pack, free discs, free programs, free jerseys. You might get to meet Megan Tormey if you're really, really lucky. AUDLpick'em.com.
Yeah, if you haven't seen the AUDL programs this year, they're really, really cool. They have lots of information about teams, articles about some of the players to know. It's a great way to kind of get a good scope on what's going on in the AUDL this new season.
And by my count, the official AUDL fan pack with the disc and the program got to be the best deal in sports. Critella's throw just gets past the bidding out Byron Liu. And Liu quickly recovers to get on Dennis Teresi. Mitchell to the end zone. Casey catches it in the end zone, jumping alertly beyond the goal line. And Raleigh has its largest lead of the night. What can Atlanta do here, Megan, to stop the bleeding? Because it feels like Raleigh is like a freight train right now, taking a metaphor out of the Charlotte team name.
They absolutely are. I think what Atlanta needs to do is start speeding up their offense. They need to move it from side to side a little bit faster. Talking before with Teresi before the game, like I said, they really wanted to force Atlanta to the sideline, and that's exactly what they're doing right now. Atlanta needs to regain composure and regain position in the middle of the field to open up their options so they're not forced to throw such difficult throws to even gain 5 yards.
Taylor Pope getting ready to pull again for the Flyers. You know, Brian Casey has been very active so far for Raleigh, and he's come a long way as a player. He now currently coaches the UNC Wilmington team, the program he played for. His first 2 years at Wilmington, they didn't get out of sectionals. I mean, they were just learning the game. There was only one guy on the team who had played Ultimate before college, and it was a time of growth. He made the top club team here in Raleigh basically by being an add-on so that the guy that they wanted from Wilmington would have somebody to drive with. I asked Brian how many times he's done the drive from Wilmington to Raleigh. He basically was like, well, every weekend for 6 months for the last 7 years is basically how often he's done that drive from Wilmington to Raleigh. About 2 hours to Raleigh, about 2.5 to Chapel Hill, where they sometimes practice as well.
Just one story in the many stories of individuals who are so committed they're willing to log those kind of hours on the road just to play with their team.
That was a stall called on Atlanta. Taylor Pope airs one out. Dangerous throw. And it's knocked away by Kyle Stapleton, looking for Robert Good. Final minute here in the first half. Frank Wooten looking for Ben Brault. And into the end zone it goes. That's a big turnaround there. Much needed point for Matt Smith.
Smith being instrumental in the end zone tonight. He's been able to run down so many discs for Atlanta. As you said, a much needed point. Big effort from Smith on that part. He was hauling from one end of the field to the other to get that score.
Matt Smith currently lives in Birmingham, commuting to play for the Hustle. Grew up in Honolulu, played, you mentioned, for the Rhode Island Rampage in the past. Now plays a lot of Ultimate in Alabama, where he runs an organic farm called Magic City Gardening. Guy who's traveled around the world. He went on volunteer trips to Costa Rica, South Africa, India. Now he runs the organic farm in Birmingham, playing a little Pro Ultimate on the side. Or maybe the gardening's on the side, with the Pro Ultimate being the main course. Here's a deep shot. A lot of targets in pursuit. The closest one is Bowen, who slips it inside for Mitchell. And Raleigh counters
in 17 seconds right there.
Bowen heads up on that one. It was coming pretty low and fast. Sometimes when you're just outside of the end zone and try and make a quick pass like that, it can be bobbled so easily, but you have to have the wherewithal to see it coming and then grab it quickly.
Who do you think this was intended for here? We're not quite in Hail Mary territory yet, although we are in the final 30 seconds now once this pull restarts play. In the final 30 seconds, the clock stops on any whistle, or if the disc sails out of bounds, the clock will stop. If there's a foul with less than 10 seconds to go on the defense, the clock would reset to 10 seconds. These end of quarter situations are so unique in the pro game, and these types of situations are what both coaching staffs have focused on a lot in the lead up to the season. Stapleton takes a look at the clock.
The crowd trying to psych out the hustle by counting down early.
Atlanta doing a nice job taking their time here to the verge of the end zone. At the buzzer, it's Stapleton who hauls it in. That was beautiful offense in the final 30 seconds of the first half. Can't do it any better than that. They look like they've been playing these timed end of quarter situations for generations.
Absolutely, you're right when you say that it creates some really unique situations. It's also something that can elevate the nerves too quickly, but they kept the wherewithal to run the play that they wanted to and take stock in who's where, move the disc appropriately.
Goforth with the Scoober for the score at the buzzer. Atlanta goes to the break on a good note, but the first half, particularly the second quarter, Megan, belonged to the Raleigh Flyers. Raleigh outscored Atlanta 9-5 in the second quarter. That's the first half, folks. 14-11 is your score. Raleigh leads Atlanta by 3. Our halftime show you don't want to miss, and it's coming up next.
Yeah, it's a zip car. I don't own it, I just use it when I need it. Zipcar has thousands of cars parked all over the city, even 2 on my block. You can use one for an hour or for a day. And Zipcar pays for gas and insurance. It's easy.
Go to zipcar.com to get your zip card, the key to vehicles parked in your neighborhood and across the globe. For work or play, find a zip car near you, book it,
and before you know it, you're on the road.
Cars by the hour or day, gas and insurance included.
Join for as little as $6 per month at zipcar.com.
If you want to follow the AUDL on your phone, now you can. Download the brand new AUDL app on your mobile device and get up-to-the-minute news on your favorite Pro Ultimate team. This is your new home for live scoring, up-to-date standings, game recaps, highlight videos, and more. It's the new best way to follow Ultimate at the highest level. Don't miss any of the thrilling hucks, towering skies, or monstrous layout Ds. Check out the free AUDL app today.
First half of the first game of these two promising franchises in the books. 14-11, Raleigh leads Atlanta. Hi again, everybody. Evan Lepler with you. It's very special to be here for this AUDL season opener. We appreciate you joining us on ESPN3. It's likely, if you're a follower of the great sport of Ultimate, you've seen the word Eric on apparel and other jerseys and online over the past couple of years. ERIC, an organization that has started in the Bay Area and the AUDL has gotten very involved in. Early recognition is critical. And this next video will teach you a little something about Eric.
I'm Cassandra Paulo.
And I'm Jim Garrison.
And we founded Eric. In 2012, we started Eric when my mom passed away from stage 4 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma on the second day of his son Eric's cancer treatment for stage 2 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. The difference there was stage 2 versus stage 4. Catching cancer early really was key. So when we decided to create something as a legacy to both my mom and his son, we decided that we wanted to do it within our community, and we play Ultimate, and we think that the Ultimate community is the best community, so we wanted to really get the message of cancer symptoms awareness, body awareness to that community.
What Eric does at these clinics is we come in and we take over the PE class. Usually there's 6 or 7 PE classes throughout the day. They last around 45 or 50 minutes. The first 5 or 10 minutes is all about Eric.
There are really 3 pillars to the Eric. Be active. Make sure you're getting outside and having fun. Playing Ultimate Frisbee is a great way to do that. Be aware, so when there's something that doesn't quite feel right, you know it and you can identify that, okay? Be prepared so that when you do feel that, you speak up and tell someone. Okay.
We're going to teach your kids about sportsmanship, spirit of the game. We're going to teach our kids conflict resolution. They're going to have a great time. They're going to get an amazing message about cancer. It's not a death sentence. It's not something you need to be scared of. It's something that you need to have a winning attitude towards, like an opponent on a field.
The AUDL has brought a lot of professionalism to Eric. The players are all big role models, and it's exciting to see these kids treat them as role models. They're perfect Eric ambassadors. They teach the game, they love kids, kids love them. It's just a great combination.
I learned how to play Ultimate Frisbee during an Eric. Well, when I think of it, I think of I want to play it, and then I think of fun.
I like that. What else do you think of besides fun?
I think of Frisbee. Go Team Eric!
We are Team Eric! It's been cool to see a lot of the top athletes in the sport getting behind Eric, and the AUDL has gotten behind the organization as well. Again, that's early recognition is critical. .org. Your halftime score here in Cary, 14-11. And as we welcome you back to our broadcast booth, we look back at what happened a year ago. A great season in 2014 in the AUDL. A lot of new franchises. Our campaign on ESPN3 began in the Bay Area with the team that would eventually be the champions. That, of course, the San Jose Spiders. But the storylines in 2014 were immense. And as we get underway in 2015, we take a few minutes to look back at what happened last year in the AUDL. The 2014 AUDL season brought a fresh look with a brand new Western Division. Immediately, it was clear that San Jose would set the standard. In the East, defending champion Toronto remained the favorite, but on the opening weekend, both New York and DC, with some key personnel additions, gave the Rush some great battles. As intensity grew, spirit of the game remained a cornerstone of the sport, with the integrity rule on display. In Week 2, the Montreal Royale and their fans gave the AUDL its largest crowd ever, and the on-field artistry rose to the occasion. Oh my goodness, what a play!
What an incredible grab!
The Montreal Royale have their first top 10 highlight.
By Week 7, San Jose and San Francisco were a step ahead in the West. In the Midwest, a 3-team race emerged, with Chicago, Madison, and Indianapolis all tightly packed. And in the East, Toronto was still perfect, with New York and DC battling for the second spot. With still half a season remaining, new stars began to emerge.
Unbelievable sky from Darren Wu.
The 18-year-old has been arguably the best player on the field. Back east, Montreal put the top teams on edge as the Royale gained confidence with experience. In Week 9, DC scored a crucial road victory in Montreal, all but sealing a playoff berth. The Breeze would face Toronto in the quarterfinals, while New York did not know its round 1 opponent until the season's final week, featuring some critical positioning in the Midwest.
Rising up and pulling it down.
As the dust settled, Madison would host Indianapolis, while Chicago traveled east to New York. Out west, Vancouver gave both Bay Area teams great battles in the regular season, but the Spiders and FlameThrowers remained atop the division. When they met in the playoffs, San Jose made all the big plays to beat San Francisco 26-16. Madison joined the Spiders in the Final Four by holding off Indy 25-16, eliminating the AlleyCats and the league's leading scorer, Cameron Brock. In the intriguing interdivisional matchup, New York stood tall against Chicago, prevailing 22-17. Toronto also guaranteed a reservation for championship weekend by dismantling DC 37-12. The Rush were ready to defend their title on their home turf. It was time for championship weekend, with Toronto, San Jose, Madison, and New York composing the AUDL's Final Four. The first semifinal matchup brought the two Eastern Division squads together, with the Rush looking to beat the Empire for the third time on the year. In the regular season, Toronto won by 2 and by 3. In the playoffs, it was a very different story. Toronto dominated New York, rolling into the finals with a 31-16 rout.
So the Rush are on to the title game here in 2014, their second straight trip into the final pair. It'll be either Toronto versus San Jose or a rematch of last year, Toronto against Madison.
The second semifinal was a thriller, conflicting styles going head-to-head as San Jose's offensive firepower ran into Madison's gritty defense. The Radicals made some plays, but the Spiders' precision offense eventually found its flow.
Deep shot looking for joy, defended by Kevin Scantling.
Tight in the fourth quarter, the game went down to the wire.
Right back from Kevin Brown. Indeed by Marcelo Sanchez.
In the end, San Jose prevailed 23-20 in one of the great games of the season.
You know, this is the first time you guys have been challenged to the extent that you have, and you have to wake up tomorrow and play another really hard game. Do you guys have the legs? Do you have the energy to do it?
Oh, absolutely. Definitely. Absolutely. We got 8 legs.
On Championship Sunday, we witnessed the matchup that all fans wanted to see. And in the biggest game, the Spiders threw the first punch.
Up into the wind, Gibson nearby, Harris nearby. San Jose's got it! What a way to break! On the opening point, it's Greg Cohen.
Playing at home, the Rush responded.
And now Federico Fiallo.
With San Jose up 12-9, the Spiders began to pull away. A 7-2 run made it 19-11, and league MVP Bo Kittredge delivered the dagger.
In just one season, the San Jose Spiders have risen to the top of the AUDL hierarchy. The San Jose Spiders are the 2014 AUDL champions. 28-18 over Toronto.
Playing Jazz Station.
Hi, gas?
Cat migration.
No, I don't want a full tank Frank. How do I get gas?
When you travel, new doesn't always mean improved, except for Motel 6's new improved website. In just a few clicks, book a room for the lowest price of any national chain based on price or location. It's new and actually improved. I'm Tom Bodette, and we'll leave the light on for you.
If you want to follow the AUDL on your phone, now you can. Download the brand new AUDL app on your mobile device and get up-to-the-minute news on your favorite Pro Ultimate team. This is your new home for live scoring, up-to-date standings, game recaps, highlight videos, and more. It's the new best way to follow Ultimate at the highest level. Don't miss any of the thrilling hucks, towering skies, or monstrous layout Ds. Check out the free AUDL app today.
Yeah, it's a zip car. I don't own it, I just use it when I need it. Zipcar has thousands of cars parked all over the city, even 2 on my block. You can use one for an hour or for a day. And Zipcar pays for gas and insurance. It's easy.
Go to zipcar.com to get your zip card, the key to vehicles parked in your neighborhood and across the globe. For work or play, find a zip car near you, book it,
and before you know it, you're on the road.
Cars by the hour or day, gas and insurance included.
Join for as little as $6 per month at zipcar.com.
Welcome back to Wake Med Park, everybody. The AUDL opens its season on ESPN3. Raleigh over Atlanta at the half, 14-11. Welcome back to our broadcast vantage point. Evan Lepler alongside perennial Nationals contender Megan Tormey. And it was an interesting first half, Megan. Atlanta threw the first punch. Raleigh responded. And now the question really is, what can Atlanta do to retaliate? Because it looks like Raleigh's in a pretty good groove.
Yeah, if Raleigh continues to dominate defensively the way that they have, this game is as good as gone for Atlanta. So they need to determine what changes they can make to get that disc back in the middle of the field where they like, so they can open up the long throws that they're known for.
The Atlanta team just walked past us heading from their locker room back to the field and quickly asked Greg Swanson, what's the big adjustment? And he says there's a lot of adjustments to make. If you're coaching Atlanta, what are the 1 or 2 things that you're telling your team about?
Well, first of all, they've got to generate more opportunities defensively. That's the only way that they'll get more opportunities to score. And secondly, like I said, they're just not able to get into the position to run their set plays, to run the offense they like to run. So I would like to see the second handler stepping back just a little bit so that with a swing, they're not right in the line of fire for Raleigh's defense.
From Raleigh's perspective, they've used the deep shot a lot to gain an advantage. Do they try to rein it in a little bit with a lead, or do you think they keep on airing it out?
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's working for them really, really well. I would continue to play exactly the way they have been.
All right, we'll see if Raleigh can continue its stuff in the second half. 14-11, a lot of ultimate still to be played, so anything can happen here in the AUDL. We'll take a quick timeout. Second half coming up on ESPN3.
Yeah, it's a zip car. I don't own it, I just use it when I need it. Zipcar has thousands of cars parked all over the city, even 2 on my block. You can use one for an hour or for a day. And Zipcar pays for gas and insurance. It's easy.
Go to zipcar.com to get your zip card, the key to vehicles parked in your neighborhood and across the globe. For work or play, find a zip car near you, book it,
and before you know it, you're on the road.
Cars by the hour or day, gas and insurance included.
Join for as little as $6 per month at zipcar.com.
If you want to follow the AUDL on your phone, now you can. Download the brand new AUDL app on your mobile device and get up-to-the-minute news on your favorite Pro Ultimate team. This is your new home for live scoring, up-to-date standings, game recaps, highlight videos, and more. It's the new best way to follow Ultimate at the highest level. Don't miss any of the thrilling hucks, towering skies, or monstrous layout Ds. Check out the free AUDL app today.
We are back just in time for the halftime dance-off, which I think is about to begin near the center of the field below. 14-11 is the score. Raleigh leading Atlanta, one of the 11 games across the American Ultimate Disc League on this opening weekend. Take a look at some of these first half highlights. Megan, certainly we're not lacking for excitement in terms of the big play department.
Absolutely, both teams came out fired up, ready to go. throwing some big throws, whether or not they were well advised. We saw a lot of long puts that were very tightly defended, but we also saw some great Ds, first and foremost from Runner, who came out with 2 Ds to get Atlanta that early game advantage they had over Raleigh.
Just elevation city here in North Carolina today. You know, both these teams have played this relatively daring style of Ultimate, which has been to our benefit and to our viewers' benefits around the world. That was a fortuitous score there. Blake Hanna came up with a play, but no, that was the D from Brian Clark that really started to change the momentum of the whole game.
Yeah, once the Flyers were able to see how quickly they could turn the tide in their favor, they basically ran with it. I don't know if it was part demoralization on the part of the Hustler or if it was just pure excitement amongst the Raleigh players. But that was a very definitive twist of fate for the Flyers.
That was the final seconds, literally, of the first half. Atlanta scored at the buzzer to get back within 3. And Atlanta's actually going to receive the disc here to start the second half as we get underway in the third quarter. So an opportunity for Atlanta to make up some ground, and so far the Hustle has started every quarter with a score. It was 6-5 Atlanta after 1. Raleigh won the second quarter 9-5. Take a 3-point lead at the break. The offensive line for Atlanta back out there. We'll be seeing what adjustments Greg Swanson, Miranda Knowles, and Stu Downs, the coaching staff, came up with. You know, this is an experiment for the coaching staffs as well. None of these coaches have ever coached in the AUDL before. Coached the game on this size field with the referees and the double teams being legal. There's so much space to tinker with.
I spoke with Greg about that aspect, having to change your coaching style, your strategies offensively and defensively for the AUDL format. Something interesting he did is he watched all of last season just to see how teams started to develop and how they started to change. Obviously, a lot of these players are well known in the Ultimate community for the club teams they play for, so they have a certain style and identity there. Watching them redevelop and come out as an AUDL team is a transformation of its own. Swanson trying to learn from past transformations to kind of create his own.
Tennell rips one. Crossfield, wide open, and on the money.
Shot from the hip that was very nearly a blade, but still well executed. Smith all alone. Didn't have to fight for that one.
How does Matt Smith keep getting open in the end zone?
I don't know. He's just like got a target on his back for the Hustlers.
So it's 14-12. 1 minute for the Hustle to get into the end zone. Tennell to Matt Smith. The stall count was rising before they got that hammer over the top. And then just look at this quick release. You can see Smith breaking away. So much space to defend in the 7-on-7 game.
And maybe that's a product of Smith having played in the AUDL before, understanding how wide that field is and what kind of opportunities that generates that aren't there on a narrower Frisbee field.
The timing of that cut, knowing when to break away to that side of the field. Pull right near the pylon. Centered to Teresi. Underneath for Mitchell. Justin Allen is open. In pursuit, Allen. Didn't even need a layout. Justin Allen says, I'm that fast.
A lesser athlete would have had to make a last-ditch bid for that disc, but as we saw, Allen, legs nearly a blur as he sped his way to the end zone.
Well, Allen was unmarked down the field and simply breaking away. That's a pretty impressive throw from the 19-year-old. Allen-esque. I mean, you know, Raleigh is very deep, and they've got experienced guys like Dave Snoke and Ben Dieter and Brian Casey, they're going to add in a bunch of young college kids as well after college nationals wrap up. Jonathan Nethercutt going to play with the Flyers. Ben Snell, J.D. Hastings, some other guys from Wilmington. Jack Williams. This is a deep shot for the tree. Go forth, can't get there. Joey Cretella won the foot race. But Atlanta's, a Rye deep shot gives Raleigh a chance, and it's the youth that I think makes this Raleigh team so tantalizing. If they could put it together at the pro level, they could be something special.
You're right with the speed and athleticism that their young players have, and we're starting to see young players come out with more experienced, better executed throws that really make them just a force to be reckoned with.
Cretella for Poulos. Beg your pardon, that's Bender who flips into the end zone for the Raleigh answer.
The speed of that point was almost dizzying, the way they just bounced the disc back and forth in between Atlanta. As fast as they were moving, it didn't seem difficult for them at all to find and hit the open spaces.
Yeah, the stall count, not even at 1 for most of those throws. Drew Chandler began playing Ultimate in 2011 with UNC Dark Side from Raleigh, playing for his hometown team. There weren't a ton of question marks heading into, the beginning of this Raleigh Flyer experience, because obviously they had the established club scene, a lot of talent. So no one really came from off the radar to shock Mike DeNardis in terms of, oh, this guy's going to be a much bigger impact guy than we might have thought. In other cities around the league, guys will show up at tryouts that nobody's ever known and they'll make their mark. But Drew Chandler was the one guy that Mike DeNardis brought up to me and said he's just really improved big time since we started practicing, and he's going to get a lot more playing time because of it.
It'll be interesting to see how some of the younger players continue to develop in the AUDL, simply because some of these players are coming from lesser programs where they're the best player, they're the captain, they're the leader. So for them to be able to get under such seasoned coaches and other seasoned players is really going to help elevate just the level of play in their communities.
Heck of an effort by Hicks to keep that alive. Now this is Lou in the middle of the field. A lot of float on that hammer, but it's on the money. 16-13 now. A lot of offense in the first few minutes of this third quarter. And of course, when I mentioned that not a lot of people came out of the woodwork to surprise at the Raleigh Flyer tryouts, there was one exception.
Who was that exception, Evan?
There's a foggy memory of an experience I had this past December attending the Raleigh Flyer tryouts, not in a broadcasting capacity, but in a playing capacity. It was a lot of fun, put on the cleats, and gave it my all.
So what was the tryout experience like?
And that was really what I was trying to figure it out. As you can see, our beautiful broadcast perspective and vantage point. My goal was to not embarrass myself, and I like to think I succeeded. It was a really cool experience. There were about 70, 75 guys there competing. Did a lot of stretching and a bunch of plyometrics, and then different throws, and did a 40-yard dash timed and an 80-yard dash timed. Here's a deep shot, looking for good. 2 Flyers jumped too early. But then 3-on-3 scrimmaging, and then eventually 7-on-7 full field scrimmaging, and it was a cool experience. I was proud. I felt like I held They actually invited me back to their second combine as well.
Wait, did they invite you back, or did you make it to the second round?
I think that it means I made it. They were either being polite or they said I didn't stink. I had other plans and was unable to attend the second combine and wasn't planning on playing for the team. But it was, I hadn't played high-level Ultimate, in a long time. And it was fun to compete against a lot of these guys and get to know them on the field.
Any noteworthy highlights from the tryouts?
Atlanta with back-to-back points to get back within 2, 16-14 now. There was one point in the full field scrimmage late in the day where I was handling for one of the teams, and the other team might have been running a zone, and it was just a lot of dump swing, a lot of possession of the disc, and we were keeping possession of the disc alive, but, you know, I was taught to always think big, which is probably why I'm in the booth and not down there on the field playing the possession game. But tried like a 50-yard full field, cross field hammer, and I still think that my intended target, who will remain nameless, I think he should have had it. I thought he was going to make the play, but he didn't attack the disc quite enough, and it got D'd up. But, you know, it was the courage to make the throw that I felt really proud of.
Just based on your description, Evan, I'm sure it was entirely his fault.
Yeah, without question. No, it was a cool experience. You know, I felt like I was in the middle of the pack out there, which is, you know, I didn't want to feel like I stuck out. And it was really cool that I didn't feel like really, you know, I think there was one guy, to be honest, that didn't look like he could measure up. But frankly, I'm not sure how the coaching staff made a lot of their decisions, because there were probably 70 guys who were all really solid. I mean, there was one guy who you could tell he was a new player. But other than that, the other thing that stood out was how supportive, like, the top guys were of everybody else. You know, even in the atmosphere of a competitive tryout environment. A nice grab by Cretella. And a nice night for the Raleigh D-line, and able to connect with Chandler. But before the throw, there was a call. Could not tell if they called a travel or a stall, but it's Atlanta taking over the disc. Looks like a stall. So all of a sudden here, Megan, the Hustle looking for their 3rd straight score. And the most important thing about attending Raleigh Flyers tryouts, I avoided a serious injury.
That's always an understated goal.
That was probably goal number 1 heading into the day.
Well,
goal number 1, don't get hurt. Goal number 2, don't embarrass yourself too much. But no, it was a great experience. You know, you as a former player, you never really lose that itch. Allen was just a bolting underneath cut. Flips it to the center for Mitchell. This is Teresi. I think, though, as most of the members of the Raleigh Flyers will attest to, I'm in the right spot in this venue, standing next to you.
No better man to do it, Evan.
Justin Allen read it perfectly in the end zone for the Flyers. The punt spike.
Brialt in hot pursuit of that disc, but just not able to close the distance soon enough. Raleigh's still looking dominant, even though Atlanta has been able to come back within 3 points, battle back a bit, score a couple in a row. Looks like they're starting to regain position in the field, but just not enough to close this gap any farther.
I don't know about you, but we still have a quarter and a half to go. In the typical club game, 17-14, 31 points is about the most you'll ever play in a game. Still a lot of time left. Can both teams, especially on offense, continue to execute? Do the defenses have anything left in the tank to try to change the flow of the game?
Well, coming straight out of the offseason, it's hard to say. But given the youth and athleticism on the side of Raleigh, I don't think maintaining that kind of defensive pressure is going to be tricky for them. Atlanta, on the other hand, I think they're going to have a little bit more of a struggle keeping up the defensive pressure because Atlanta has just been so fast.
Tennell marked by the double team, a blade, incomplete.
Very, very tricky catch to make.
Tennell might have wanted to turn that disc over a little bit. It stayed very vertical. Hartzog, back for Green. Zoe. Green, 5:50 to go in the quarter. Bender to the end zone.
And just when I thought Atlanta was perhaps regaining position in the middle of the field, Tennell is forced to make an incredibly difficult throw right up against the sideline against a double team, resulting in a turn. And as we've seen so many times this game, Raleigh taking that opportunity and very quickly moving that disc down the field, taking those open shots, be it long or short throws.
Roy Matthews hauls in the score. Didn't begin playing Ultimate until grad school at Virginia. He was basically a first-year guy. Didn't play a whole lot in the quarterfinals at Nationals when Robert Runner, one of the top guys on Atlanta, was the star of that Virginia team. Roy Matthews, among with some others on this squad like Michael Neve and Mike Zoe, making the commute from the Piedmont Triad area, Winston-Salem, Greensboro, to play and practice with Raleigh. Roy Matthews' parents actually came in from Texas for this game.
Well, safe travels to them as they go home. That's a long way to come. But of course, if your child is playing in a professional league, why wouldn't you want to come out and support them in the home opener?
Making his debut. Looked like a turnover, but there was contact called on the mark, so Atlanta retains possession. Brialt over to Hicks, swinging, and what a defensive play that was. Incredible acrobatic layout for the Raleigh Flyers.
Cretella, one of the best cutter defenders for Raleigh, showing why he's one of their main guys for putting tough matchups on the downfield players.
Looking for Matthews, rising up to make the catch. Clark to space, beautiful.
Again, Raleigh is just so dominant at making those quick breaks work in their favor. Clark had so much time to put touch on that disc so that it was an easy catch for a score, because 3 Raleigh players sprinted down the field to put themselves in optimal position to score.
Bender hauls in the goal for the Flyers, but it was that horizontal layout D by Cretella, the story of the point. And the catch by Matthews wasn't bad either. You see how Clark took that extra beat there? I mean,
Yep.
if he threw that when he initially thought about it, there was a chance it was going to get D'd, but that extra second of calm, something that young throwers should be aware of. You don't need to throw it as soon as you get it. You have 7 or 10 seconds. Take a breath, analyze your surroundings, and vision is a trait for a handler that probably doesn't get discussed enough as being one of the key factors that makes a great handler in this game.
That's a really good point. Sometimes it's easy to say where the players are.
Oh, David Richardson shows off the speed. He broke his arm at tryouts back in December. Here in April, he's healthy and faster than ever. Raleigh in a groove right now. Receiver travel downfield, so it's not a turnover. Receiver travel back into the possession of Tristan Green.
But stopping the Raleigh momentum, let's see if they can pick up that speed again, even after being stopped.
Wide open downfield is Mike Neve. And a timeout was called from the sidelines as Neve successfully centered the disc. The Raleigh Flyers threatening to pull away here in the season opener, 19-14. Raleigh by 5, timeout on the field.
Next Saturday, the AUDL spotlight will shine on Seattle. With new ownership, the freshly branded Cascades are poised to threaten the established powers in the West. Meanwhile, the Vancouver Riptide returns its remarkable youth movement from a year ago. Join us for a crucial Western Division clash as Seattle hosts Vancouver next Saturday at 7:30 Pacific, 10:30 p.m. Eastern, only on Watch ESPN and ESPN3.
Just over 3.5 to play in this third quarter. A 5-point lead for the home team. The Flyers making some soaring defensive maneuvers. Obviously, the Wright brothers launched the nation's first flight in this state. And this team has taken flight tonight. How about that last D by David Richardson?
Man, he was in hot pursuit of that disc, never taking his eyes off of it. You have to respect that kind of last-ditch effort kind of play.
Yeah, the closing speed was insane. To Racy, a little give and go with Jarrett Bowen. Flyers with the largest lead of the night. Four straight scores now for Raleigh.
If Atlanta has anything else in their playbook defensively, now might be the time to try it out. We are seeing Raleigh move down the disc nearly uncontested. They seem completely unfazed by any defender in their way. They just simply work it down a different avenue. We're seeing them score really with minimal effort. And that's slightly unfair of me to say because obviously a lot of effort is being put into it. There's some really fast plays, but the hustle is not doing a great job of taking away routes, taking away lanes, taking away space from Raleigh.
Very critical possession here for Atlanta. Soft Scuber. Now working it up the sidelines with Krieger. This is Knowles. Stapleton. 24-year-old San Antonio native Stapleton. Now Briault shoots it to the end zone, and Atlanta ends the Raleigh run. Snaps it after 4 in a row. The Hustle will get back on the board to make it a 5-score game.
And the one and only Matt Smith in the end zone for that catch. Saw him kind of streaking up along the sideline to put himself in position for that throw.
Smooth offense here from Atlanta. Mentioned it earlier, but the Hustle have a very quick turnaround, having to play at Charlotte tomorrow afternoon. Atlanta's 2 games in North Carolina, the only Southern Division matchups of this opening weekend. Next weekend, Megan, Atlanta will play Nashville, and Raleigh will play Jacksonville in the Cannons maiden game. That'll be a home game for Raleigh. Raleigh begins the season with a lot of home games and then has like 6 out of 7 on the road in the middle of the season. Looking deep for the young fella. Terrence Mitchell lost it as it was in his grasp. And a call will give an additional 10 yards on the contact. Looked like this place was getting ready to erupt with Mitchell elevating in the end zone. Tunnell. Raleigh has, for the most part, marginalized Tunnell with double teams and just aggressive downfield defense. Is that what you've seen?
Yeah, and they're forcing him to make uncharacteristically difficult throws. Tunnell has so much experience that it's not hard for him to get the disc out of his hands. It's just hard for him to put the kind of angle on it that he wants, and also for it to be a more viable option.
Excuse me, Megan. Too much time near the end zone. No target for Ryan James to easily discover.
Yeah, no doubt we'll see these stall counts diminish as the season goes on. That's one that's just very difficult to make the adjustment. When you don't hear that stall count, it's easy to lose track of time.
Mitchell lets it fly, looking for Dieter. That's a 19-year-old who just had the full field shot. Terrence Mitchell to Ben Dieter for the Raleigh score.
Evan, I feel like my life would have been so different if I had throws like that at age 19. And honestly, even at age 31.
Yeah. You'd take him now, too. What impresses you most about that, Chuck?
Well, his age is a factor I'm including as I consider what he's able to do. His ability to just rip that disc. You notice he's really shooting from his hip. He gets a lot of spin, a lot of rotation on the disc. That kind of execution, that kind of style really normally takes much longer to develop. And at the ripe old age of 19, he seems to be very much in control of how he's able to put the disc.
When you throw a flick with that much ferocity, it can be tough to sustain that pivot foot, that left foot which is in the ground, and no question Mitchell did that to avoid the travel. Final minute here in the third. Raleigh was down 1 after 1, up 3 at the break, and now leading by 6. Brialt hits Knowles. Good was there defensively. And the clock will stop as it looks like Atlanta's receiver is shaken up. Nat Smith has made so many plays in the end zone tonight.
Oh.
Went down hard on that left shoulder, but he appears to be all right. He's back up and will stay in the game. Raleigh with the disc. Clock restarts. Scuba over the double team. Tristan Green lets it go. This is going to be short of the end zone. And it was Mack toward the end zone, unintentionally so, off the reach of Cretella, and it falls incomplete. And that is how the third quarter comes to an end. 3 down, 1 to go here in Cary, North Carolina. A great shot of our facility here at Wake Med Soccer Park. The opening game of the Southern Division in the AUDL. Maybe the official stat keeper will give Jack Krieger the credit for the D. 12 minutes left in the season opener. Raleigh by 6 after 3.
Find gas station.
Playing Jazz Station.
Hi, gas?
Cat migration.
No, I don't want a full tank Frank. How do I get gas?
When you travel, new doesn't always mean improved, except for Motel 6's new improved website. In just a few clicks, book a room for the lowest price of any national chain based on price or location. It's new and actually improved. I'm Tom Bodette, and we'll leave the light on for you.
If you want to follow the AUDL on your phone, now you can. Download the brand new AUDL app on your mobile device and get up-to-the-minute news on your favorite Pro Ultimate team. This is your new home for live scoring, up-to-date standings, game recaps, highlight videos, and more. It's the new best way to follow Ultimate at the highest level. Don't miss any of the thrilling hucks, towering skies, or monstrous layout Ds. Check out the free AUDL app today.
Yeah, it's a zip car. I don't own it, I just use it when I need it. Zipcar has thousands of cars parked all over the city, even 2 on my block. You can use one for an hour or for a day. And Zipcar pays for gas and insurance. It's easy.
Go to zipcar.com to get your zip card, the key to vehicles parked in your neighborhood and across the globe. For work or play, find a zip car near you, book it,
and before you know it, you're on the road.
Cars by the hour or day, gas and insurance included.
Join for as little as $6 per month at zipcar.com.
Fourth quarter about to begin here at Wake Med Soccer Park, home of the Carolina Railhawks pro soccer team and home of many big soccer events around the nation held at this facility. Atlanta Hustle and the Raleigh Flyers getting ready to start the fourth quarter. Elsewhere around the AUDL on this opening night, the Toronto Rush, back-to-back trips to the title game, won it all 2 years ago. Last season, lost to the Spiders in the title game. There's a offsides call perhaps here. And Raleigh will bring the disc to midfield as a result of the offsides. Toronto Rush opening their season with 2 games this weekend and up big 35-16. The Rush winning over the DC Breeze at the moment. Elsewhere at halftime, Pittsburgh in its first game leads Indianapolis 12-7 at halftime. Leaping grab by Robert Good in the end zone. How many different playmakers do the Flyers have?
We knew going into this game that they had a deep roster, but I think that they are proving their depth very, very quickly. You can trust anyone with the disc. You can trust anyone to put forth whatever kind of effort is necessary to make an amazing play.
Just one playmaker after another getting it done. Perfect timing to the summit by Robert Good.
You know, something we haven't mentioned going into this game is that these teams are still working on developing chemistry. Some of these players have never played together before, but Raleigh is looking as seasoned as someone who has spent an entire year together.
Nice catch made the first row, the errant pull. Really impressed by the showing of support. Obviously, this is a great Ultimate community, the Triangle. A lot of great youth Ultimate, college Ultimate in the state of North Carolina. The weather gods smiling upon us today. There's a miscommunication by Raleigh, and Atlanta capitalizes. And that's just one quick lapse, and in the pro game, you're done. There's so much space on the field, and the throwers are so good.
Yeah, Brialt was open by a long shot for that score. Raleigh tried to close the gap, but as you said, one errant move, one miscommunication, and with the field being as big as it is, so it's hopeless to try to recover.
Raleigh back up by 6 after the Atlanta score.
And also number 98.
You know, a 6-point lead with 11.5 minutes to go. It's not completely insurmountable, but it's a substantial deficit.
It is a substantial deficit, especially considering how difficult of a time Atlanta has had getting their offense to move quickly. The speed with which Raleigh has been scoring is going to be very difficult to counter as well.
Allen airs one out. Both Bowen and Teresi are nearby. Dennis Teresi for the score.
Evan, I have to say, Raleigh does not look like they are in the fourth quarter of a game. They look like they're running with the same speed they were within the first quarter. They're really pulling away from their defenders. You notice it looks like Atlanta is open by a mile, but really they're just pulling away that quickly.
And that probably a byproduct of the depth and obviously the conditioning, but I agree with you 100%. I think it's a great point. And you're not seeing that same sort of explosive energy from Atlanta at this stage of the game. What do the North Carolina guys who aren't playing today do when they're not on the field? Jonathan Nethercutt just refilled the water jug and walking down to give his team some fresh hydration. Nethercutt, one of the top handlers in the college game this year. UNC trying to win a conference championship tomorrow. To do so, they got to beat UNC Wilmington. With a lot of Flyers flavor in the Wilmington program as well. Knowles marked by Matthews. Here's Smith. Jenga just continues to throw his body around the field. The relentlessness from the Raleigh Flyers defensively here. Atlanta's going to score this point, but not without some great hustle. That was Josh Hartzog on that last layout D attempt.
Yeah, Atlanta was forced back several yards over the course of 3 or 4 throws. And then anytime they got the disc in the middle of the field, the only opportunity was to throw it back to the sideline.
Hartzog coming up short, and Robert Runner picks up the assist for Atlanta. Next week, our AUDL Saturday Showcase continues out in the Pacific Northwest. 7:30 local time, 10:30 p.m. Eastern. Seattle against Vancouver. Those two cities have had a pretty good ultimate rivalry, kind of similar to this Atlanta-Raleigh one in terms of proximity. Lots of targets here. Who's going to come down with a disc? Nobody. And no whistle. It will be a turnover. Megan, I look forward to watching you and Brian Jones on the call out in Seattle next week for the Cascades and the Riptide.
I look forward to broadcasting at Seattle. As one of my favorite cities. I was so excited to hear when they were showcasing or coming out with their own AUDL team.
Contact on the mark. Robert Bradham to Tunnell. Raleigh has just thrown a lot of different guys at Tunnell. This might be a little bit of a different game if Atlanta had Mark Poole. Contact called there. Byron Liu and Justin Allen getting tangled up. Bradham slings one just out of the reach of the defender Poulos, and Atlanta back within 5 here.
Great throw by Bradham. He had to get that up and over everyone else on the field in order to put it in position for his man.
Yeah, typically you'd expect a backhand there, but he went with the flick. Why?
I don't know if he did it just trying to expedite the throwing process, or if maybe he was afraid that his defender would jump into the lane if he made the move for the backhand. But I mean, if you have that throw, it's a lot faster to get off the forehand than to step your body around and throw the backhand.
So we'll see if Atlanta can make one final push here. Again, still plenty of time, more than 9 minutes. Raleigh's offense, since the initial struggles in the first quarter, has been really dynamic. Allen threatened deep, comes underneath. Back for the lefty, Teresi. And now Chandler, reset for Teresi. Wide open Chandler. Content to take their time. The Flyers now take a shot. Chandler to the end zone. Teresi hauls it in.
Excellent field sense from Teresi on that throw. He saw in his periphery 2 people running in, threatening to take away his opportunity to make that score. Came at it at a tricky angle and still managed to hold on to it.
Teresi, a product of Truman State, where he made it to nationals at the D3 level his last year. Came to UNC for grad school, working on his PhD. First joined the top club team here in Raleigh, Ring of Fire. Joined that team as a practice player. And by the time you're ready for the series, he was firmly on the roster. And sometimes guys work their way on the team that way. Pope rolls it out of bounds. Seen Mike DeNardis coach teams employ that roller pull to the sideline a lot. And sometimes when a team begins from the sideline, they turn it over quickly. Bender for Zoe. Too easy.
But not exactly an easy throw. Bender putting that throw around his defender to get it to Zoe in really not a very advantageous position. Of course, Zoe being completely open was a perfect recipient for the throw. But Bender's throw, a little creative to get it off there.
Around backhand, and he had to loft it over the defender, but there was no one with Jenga in the back corner of the end zone. So the home fans are pretty content here in Raleigh right now.
Yeah, with as many home games as Raleigh is starting with, it's going to be tough for them when they end up on the road and don't have the support in the stands that they do tonight.
That Scuba falls incomplete. Taylor Pope will pick up the disc for the Flyers. Greatest attempt, hauled in. You don't see that very often. Laying out across the sideline, just flinging it back for anybody. Michael Zoe. And Pope's throw picked off. Smartly time poached. And now looking deep for Clark. Ryan Clark D's up Jay Clark. Oh, what a tremendous layout deep from Jay Clark in return. Taylor Pope fouled Clark after that inhumane layout effort. Save that one for the highlight reel. Hustle taking a timeout after Jay Clark, with his team down by 7, perhaps gives the Hustle a little bit of hope. 6 3:44 to play. Hustle with the disc, trailing by a touchdown.
Next Saturday, the AUDL spotlight will shine on Seattle. With new ownership, the freshly branded Cascades are poised to threaten the established powers in the West. Meanwhile, the Vancouver Riptide returns its remarkable youth movement from a year ago. Join us for a crucial Western Division clash as Seattle hosts Vancouver next Saturday at 7:30 Pacific, 10:30 p.m. Eastern, only on Watch ESPN and ESPN3.
Atlanta has the disc. Running out of time though, and Robert Runner will face a double team here on the sidelines. Runner returning to the Elite Ultimate level after finishing up med school. The Doctor, expected to be an anchor of this Atlanta handler set, playing on the D-line tonight. Some Raleigh players thought a travel was called. No such call, and yet Atlanta can't convert. Ryan Clark, the D. Pope flips it to space where Bender's there. Looking for Pope. Hannah nearby. Taylor Pope rising up. 35 years young. And he still got it.
You know, I can't speak enough about the athleticism and fitness of this Raleigh team. Clark with that D there then sprinted towards the end zone. When he saw that the disc wasn't going after him, he cut right in for an in cut. Usually after you make that kind of effort towards the end zone, you can be a bit exhausted, want to let someone else go in for the in cut. But no, he was ready for it, went right in. That's how this Raleigh offense continues to flow as seamlessly as it does. Everyone's ready to either cut deep or then cut right in for an in cut. No one's exhausted, no one's waiting on anyone else to get it started.
Taylor Pope has been a Nationals 13 times at the club level. That's his first posterization at the pro level. You know, but about that fatigue factor, I remember talking to 2014 AUDL MVP Bo Kittredge last season as Atlanta makes another key mistake. And he said, you know, I never really get tired on the club field, but on the pro field, sometimes you do, with the width and additional length of the field. And I've heard some people say maybe you play the pro game 8-on-8, but you know, I love how much space there is. Defense is tough, but the double team helps to combat. And now Raleigh is walking away with this thing. Michael Neve makes the grab.
I agree with you, Evan. I would rather see additional adjustments besides putting the 8th player on the field. There's room for so much more in this AUDL format.
So the question for Atlanta now becomes, how hard do you play these last 5.5 minutes with a game, you know, less than 24 hours away? They pull in less than 16 hours.
And they have an active roster of 19 players today. They're only going to have 19 players tomorrow. That is something they should take into consideration. And honestly, I don't think it's that bad to start this season with a loss. You can learn so much about what changes need to be made when you walk away with your first loss.
And Dylan Tennell has done most of his playing tonight, Megan, behind the disc, you know, as a primary handler. Although, as I say that, he makes a cut-up line, and they're looking for him. And Tennell able to milk it just enough for the score. So Dylan Tunnell takes Atlanta across the 20-point plateau. Five minutes on the clock. Tunnell suffered a knee injury, which he deemed pretty significant at Flyers tryouts, at Hustle tryouts. And as a consequence, really wasn't practicing full speed until a couple of weeks ago. So, he told me last week he's able to go at full speed, but he's still not quite 100%, which could explain for he hasn't done a whole lot of cutting downfield.
Yeah, if you stay back behind the disc, you can kind of get away with not moving as often or as quickly.
Yeah, that was my ploy. So Atlanta still needs one more to get to 20. Dieter stumbling but makes the grab. Another deep shot. And that one will float out of the reach of the intended target, Neve.
A rare incompletion on the long game with Raleigh, but optimal position for that disc. Look, they're able to put on an enormous double team right away.
And a cross-field blade. Oh, what a grab made there. Mitchell was threatening nearby, but Frank Wooten came down with it. Four minutes to go in the game. Kyle Stapleton played tennis at Division III Berry College, right near Rome, Georgia. Atlanta gives it away again, and I think an injury was called. Looks like Jarrett Bowen might be cramping up a little bit. Clock stop with just under 4 minutes to go. Here's Teresi, who's certainly been a factor tonight. You can see just the hops from Mitchell there, uncontested, but impressive nonetheless. That low throw and the poached defense from Stapleton. Krieger for Smith. Doesn't look like Smith is out of energy just yet. Stapleton, that's an impressive break throw, and it worked out perfectly. Guess who caught it? Matt Smith.
All lanes lead to Matt Smith tonight. There was one open window for that throw to be put. Matt Smith saw it, made sure he was there.
That was a really nice toss to get it around the mark. So now the Hustle have 20. Usually if you throw a flick break like that, it'll probably be more of an inside out, because that outside in flick is tailing away from the target, yet he had enough finesse on it and stability to prevent it from sailing awry. That's not an easy throw to make around that mark. Easy for Megan Tormey, but not for most.
What can I say?
Justin Allen rips one deep. Teresi. Oh, what a shot. What a shot! It's like the disc had a honing signal to it, and Teresi was the destination forever.
Yeah, you notice Goforth ended up laying out after that defensive effort because he was running at full tilt. That was put so well. It had eyes only for Teresi.
Justin Allen wears number 1 because when he first started to play Club Ultimate, it was the only single-digit number that was still available. He wanted a single-digit number. It seems appropriate that he's wearing number 1 because, you know, he is probably the number 1 face on this Raleigh team. They were hanging up a couple Justin Allen jerseys near their little shop by the entrance. And it's, you know, the athleticism that makes for a great highlight package. But that last throw, the difficulty, the loft, the release, and the perfect precision, I think, you know, says more about how good of a player he can be than anything. Played for the New York Empire last year as well. Has that AUDL experience under his belt. Went to the semifinals championship weekend.
He was really one of the leaders on the New York Empire, being picked to play for the AUDL.
Well, that throw was perfect as well. Ryan Moore hauls it in. David Richardson did not have another superhuman layout D in him that time. You could tell he was sensing it in pursuit, but the throw was too good. The throwing tonight on a windless evening has been really something. Look at that kid tumble down the hill. That guy's having fun. I was doing that before the game, before the cameras were rolling.
Took a long time to dust off his suit.
Under 2 minutes in the AUDL opener. Mitchell lets it fly, looking for Allen. Justin Allen skies for the score.
Again, showing his physical prowess, able to time that that jump. You notice he stuttered his feet to make sure that his timing was absolutely spot on.
Over Ryan Archibald. Allen sizing it up. And to the summit.
Hey, next game at Cardinal Gibbons 2. Come early and learn from the pros. The first pregame clinic is at 2 p.m. That's 1 hour before the game time.
And this will be the Club Junior Glove catch of the game. Sport is the best way of communication. Club Junior, no disc, no life. Wow. We've seen 50 goals so far, and maybe half of them have been spectacular. Maybe more.
I would venture and say more. They've all been pretty exciting.
There hasn't just been a lot of, you know, simple end zone offense, make the cut to the cone, and full field hammers. 50-50 skies. Atlanta just did not have enough defensively, it seems, to force Raleigh into mistakes in the second half. Dylan Tennell with another goal. But too little, too late for the Atlanta hustle. And this team, again, with a quick turnaround tomorrow. You bet the Charlotte Express watching this game tonight, doing a little scouting.
You know, the benefit of the AUDL is that you have that opportunity to do a lot of scouting of the other team. If they're not, they definitely should start.
Man, those
couple top guys for the Raleigh club team choosing to play with the Charlotte squad. Charlotte residents Ken Porter, who's actually injured and not expected to play tomorrow. That'll be good news for Atlanta. Micah Hood, another good product out of Appalachian State. He's had some good games against Atlanta's club teams in the past. Could be one of the final points as we roll into the last minute. Casey off the hands of Dieter. And a quick deep shot from Goforth. Not really to anybody. It's an impressive throw just for the majestic arc of it, but not really to a teammate. 30 seconds on the clock. You know, talking to the Raleigh Flyers management before the game, the owners of this team, Casey Degnan, Mike Denardis, the general manager, Troy Revel. They didn't seem that nervous about the operation. They seemed a little nervous about winning the game. Like they wanted to give their fans a show in the opener. And that turnover notwithstanding, it has been a brilliant performance from the Flyers. And Raleigh wins its inaugural game in the AUDL. The Flyers victorious tonight, 29-22 over Atlanta. What was the difference tonight for the Flyers?
I think their ability to stop the Atlanta offense, frankly. They really took them out of the game early and gave themselves space to work around and develop their chemistry without contest. They had so much more breathing room than Atlanta through this game. On the flip side, I was really impressed with their offensive prowess as well. They were working the short and the long game with such speed. It was very hard for Atlanta to stop that momentum.
Final score 29-22. Let's take a quick break and we'll be right back with some final thoughts as Raleigh wins its first ever AUDL game.
Yeah, it's a zip car. I don't own it, I just use it when I need it. Zipcar has thousands of cars parked all over the city, even 2 on my block. You can use one for an hour or for a day. And Zipcar pays for gas and insurance. It's easy.
Go to zipcar.com to get your zip card, the key to vehicles parked in your neighborhood and across the globe. For work or play, find a zip car near you, book it,
and before you know it, you're on the road.
Cars by the hour or day, gas and insurance included.
Join for as little as $6 per month at zipcar.com.
Find gas station.
Playing jazz station.
Hi, gas?
Cat migration.
No, I don't want a full tank Frank. How do I get gas?
When you travel, new doesn't always mean improved, except for Motel 6's new improved website. In just a few clicks, book a room for the lowest price of any national chain based on price or location. It's new and actually improved. I'm Tom Bodette, and we'll leave the light on for you.
The final score, 29-22, Raleigh over Atlanta. The fans here in North Carolina are heading home happy tonight. Thanks for staying with us, everybody. Evan Lepler along with Megan Tormey. Did you see anything from Raleigh tonight that surprised you? Maybe they're better than you thought.
They are definitely better than I thought, and I already thought that they were a really good team. You know, we talked about the depth of their roster, but not only that, really the versatility of their roster. They had a lot of players who weren't just defensive specialists, but were great at D and then turning around and throwing a long bomb to the end zone.
We got a final highlight package, so let's jump into that as Raleigh wins it by 7. Atlanta got off to a good start in this game, Megan. Up 2-zip, had a lead at the end of the first quarter, but you know, once the game shifted into the second, it was really Raleigh taking control and seizing this game.
Raleigh misstepped at the beginning, absolutely, but then got their footing and absolutely ran away with this game. Even though Atlanta kept coming back, they weren't able to close the gap that Raleigh created slowly but carefully throughout the game.
We talked about Justin Allen off the top. That was a good choice. He made a number of sensational plays for the Flyers. So Raleigh gets the win 29-22. That'll wrap it up for us tonight. You and Brian Jones will be out in the Pacific Northwest next week. I will be watching contently on my phone at my friend Dave's wedding, which I have to attend because he chose me to be the best man. My co-captain at Wake Forest back in the day. He got married during the AUDL season. Can you believe that?
That's unbelievable. He really should have considered the dates a little more carefully.
Yeah. He's a good guy, though. Good luck next week and look forward to watching.
Thank you.
29-22, Raleigh wins it tonight. So great to be back with you and looking forward to an incredible season. I'll talk to you again 2 weeks from now in Ottawa when the Outlaws have their home debut against the Toronto Rush. Next week, though, the Cascades and the Riptide, 7:30 Pacific time and 10:30 Eastern. For our entire Fulcrum Media Group team and for my partner Megan Tormey, I'm Evan Lepler saying so long from Cary, North Carolina tonight. Again, the final 29-22. The Raleigh Flyers are 1-0 in the AUDL. Good night, everybody.
Next Saturday, the AUDL spotlight will shine on Seattle. With new ownership, the freshly branded Cascades are poised to threaten the established powers in the West. Meanwhile, the Vancouver Riptide returns its remarkable youth movement from a year ago. Join us for a crucial Western Division clash as Seattle hosts Vancouver next Saturday at 7:30 Pacific, 10:30 p.m. Eastern, only on Watch ESPN and ESPN3.